Dear American citizens, I'm going to make an attempt in order to communicate with you one very simple fact about this caravan that is moving towards the US going through Mexico. Some of us are not very happy about it. It is worrisome. We are on the verge of a humanitarian crisis on our northern border as you are on your southern border. This is without precedent one of the most scariest things that I've ever seen in my entire life in regards to the fact that immigration as a phenomenon is taking place in my own nation. I once lived illegally in the US for about 12 or plus years. I have no record of any incident in which I violated the law in a grave manner, only but with traffic tickets and certain other small claims situations in which I was the one claiming funds from people that was trying to steal from me or take advantage of me. In any event, the situation is that we are totally aware of what's happening here in Mexico. And the threats, well, I don't call them threats actually. I just, in another segment in Spanish that I did, communicating with my own fellow citizens of Mexico, I told him Donald Trump's mentioned that he would place the U.S. troops along the southern border, the U.S. southern border, is not a threat. This is just an advice. It's telling us, he is telling us, you guys are telling us that you're going to find the need. You're finding a need to place the troops, the U.S. troops along your border in order to protect your citizens. Something that our Mexican government, the Mexican government fails to do for Mexico, for us. I applaud the fact that Donald Trump takes a very responsible approach to the job that he was hired to do. That thing about Democrats and Republicans and all those things, I will address later. But with a small just insight of my understanding of the two parties in a certain way is that the Democratic Party is basically, through my experience when I lived there, for the poor people that aspires to live off of the government resources. Well, I mean, off of the U.S. citizens through a government that is based on the Democratic Party. Republicans, and I was a Republican when I lived in the U.S., even though I was not a U.S. citizen, but I used to mostly express myself as a Republican than a Democrat. Why? Because I love to work. I like to work, I love to work, and I like to pursue a good level of life, which, I don't think I have it. But I certainly have reached more than I aspired to. And I lived in 5 countries throughout my life, and I intend to live in more, and then I did this and that, and but this is not about this is not about myself. I'm just narrating a simple fact of my understanding that Republicans are one thing, Democrats are another. And I don't believe in socialism. I don't believe in communism. And certainly I don't believe that by being a Democrat, somebody's going to come and tell me, here's your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and here's car keys, for yourself, for your wife, and the free college for your kids. I mean, I would go on and have a bunch of children all over the place because the government is going to support my family and 2 or 3 wives. But that's not my nature. My nature is to get up early, work, get self-motivated because I'm self-unemployed. I do these segments as a community service to my city, Canal Chihuahua and Foro Legal Chihuahua. So I have no interest in waiting for somebody to come knock on my door and tell me here's some food, here's a tie, here's everything for you to live off on. And nevertheless, the Mexican government, because they take everything, they steal everything. Anything you put on their hands, you're gonna get only 10%, from what they falls on their hands, on the Mexican government people. That's what they do. That's what they were born for. That is in their nature. A bunch of thieves. The Mexican government. If you don't believe that, just tell us what happened to the money for the braceros, in the billions of pesos. In the billions of pesos. They haven't gotten a single cent, and they keep dropping like flies. They are dying. Those people are dying. And that is undignifying. Why? Because the entire world knows about it. But coming back to the caravans, to the migration caravans that are attempting to cross Mexico from Honduras, from Nicaragua, from El Salvador, and other countries nearby, and South America. And I am pretty sure, without a doubt, that there are other people from other parts of the world, terrorists. I have no doubt that there are terrorists traveling in those caravans, taking advantage of the big group of individuals trying to cross through Mexico to reach our northern border and cross to your border, cross to the United States, all the way, covering all your southern border. The wall, I could care less. Build the wall. The first one to benefit from a huge wall there in your southern border is Mexico. If you want to do trade, if you want to travel to the U.S., well, get your documents in line. I myself waiting for my own permanent resident papers for the U.S. and I'm not even tempted to cross the border illegally again, which I did right after I graduated from college here, and I'm very thankful and very grateful to the U.S. because there I found even education opportunity that I didn't find here. In the past, it was a little harder to study a high level of education, and I obtained a master's degree, a master's certificate. I'm a business master from the San Jose Development Corporation. That was a crash course. It was a very intense course, and I decided to take it and obtain it. So in any event, coming back to this caravan, I don't agree with that, and many of us in Mexico don't agree with that. Even though we lived illegally in another country, in the U.S., we know for a fact that it's not a dignified living. We know very well that it's very hard to live being illegal. We know very well that we don't reach all our dreams as long as we are illegal, because we don't have medical coverage the same way that the U.S. citizens have. So without getting into any humanitarian deals here, which are very important, that's why we don't get into that right now. But the fact of the matter is that the advice, the notice that Donald Trump is making about not sending any aid to Central American countries and South American countries anymore, just because these individuals are crossing through Mexico, really is not going to take any effect, any responsible effect or action by the governments of those countries. Mexico. The Mexican government could care less. Look, they're just laughing at Donald Trump. They're just making memes or whatever you call them in English. I haven't been there since this was invented. But memes, excuse me, all over the place in Mexico. The Mexicans, we are just making fun. Not I, but the Mexicans are making fun. The government. That's what surprises me. Miguel Angel Mancera, one of the highest ranking members of Morena now. He was from the PRD, Partido de la Revolución Democrática. He just said that Donald Trump, he made an allusion that Donald Trump was bipolar. That one day he was happy and another one unhappy, and then one day he says one thing, another day he says another one. Well, what do you expect if one day you don't have this caravan crossing, menacing, threatening to reach your borders, you don't refer to it as in any way. But the next, and if you're happy for something, playing golf or running your country the way that you're supposed to, with seriousness, then the next day you find out that there's a caravan coming to your country, and then you express unhappiness. That's not being bipolar. But these ignorant individuals, even though they have a doctorate, Miguel Angel Mancera has a doctorate, but still he is a very, very ignorant individual, very ignorant and very nauseated. Um, well, I feel nauseated just to learn and see. I saw him, just making fun of Donald Trump, and that is not correct. That is totally inappropriate because it sends us Mexicans a very bad message. It sends us a very wrong message and attitude about how to be a responsible individual, a responsible government official, and he is not being so. So, anyways, this advice that Donald Trump is not going to send any money to South America or to Central America, countries that include citizens that are attempting to cross through Mexico illegally all the way to our northern border, okay, is not going to take any effect. It's not going to happen. The government officials of those countries are not going to take any actions to stop those individuals. And let's say they do, by any fantastic, fabulous situation, they say that all of a sudden they become responsible, these government officials from Latin America. All of a sudden now, they're advising their citizens to stop. Oh, please don't go there. Stop. Don't leave, please. Stay here. You think people are going to listen to that message? I'm being maybe ridiculous here, but this is a fact. They don't care. The citizens are not going to believe their own government that if they stay, they're going to finally wake up to a better country. Because they have crises. Yes, they do. Unfortunately, those crises do not qualify for them to be refugees in the United States, neither in Mexico, because there are financial crises due to the corrupt governments of our countries, due to the irresponsible individuals, due to the irresponsible individuals that we elected. For some reason, we vote for them. Why? It's beyond any explanation, but in any event, I'm not for these individuals to cross through Mexico to reach our northern border, because it's going to become, it is already a humanitarian crisis. There are more than 30,000 individuals living illegally in Tijuana, or TJ, how when we're over there we call it. So kindly address the fact that at least there's one citizen presente that is concerned with this humanitarian crisis that is just about to happen. Now, another problem is that from the, I think, first there was a mention that there were 1,000 individuals with children and women included, and then another information says that it's about 3,000. There are about 3,000 individuals trying to cross through Mexico to reach our northern borders. Those individuals, once they reach our northern border, they're gonna be so devastated. They're gonna be peso-less by the time they quetzales, sucres, whatever currency they have, they're not gonna have any money in order to be able to cover their own expenses. Where's that money gonna come from? I understand that George Soros was mentioned, that is actually trying to give money to these people. Why is an American citizen doing that? Why is an American citizen providing money and resources for others to cross our borders? Isn't that a contradiction about the fact that the U.S. is trying to fix a problem of illegal individuals arriving to the U.S.? Isn't that the wrong message from the part of a pro-socialist individual, pro-left individual? That guy, I understand, and I don't know him personally, but I get bits and pieces of information from this individual. His name pops up every time that there's a Antifa group acting somewhere, which I think is wrong. I love America. I love Mexico. I love the humankind. But unfortunately, geographically, We have a very different situation. Culturally, we have a very different situation and approach to the integration of our cities, of society, of our communities. Mexican government officials are thieves, are assassins, are sicarios, are malandros. Mexican government officials are the members of the most organized crime on the face of the earth. They're disgusting people. They abuse us. They steal from us. So I'm just talking about the fact that why is an American citizen allegedly providing resources for these individuals to cross through Mexico and arrive to the southern border, to arrive to our northern borders, intending to cross to the U.S. In any event, that's not good for Democrats at all. That is something illegal that he might be doing against Mexico. But Mexican officials, Mexican government officials, do not have intelligence enough in order to press charges against this billionaire. I understand he's very rich, which we should. He is a threat. If he's doing that, he is a threat. And I tell you something, why isn't the FBI or the CIA going against this individual that is mostly, if it's true that he's providing resources for these individuals to attempt to cross Mexico, then, he's probably very close to incurring less humanity crimes because he's sending people into the wolves. Mexico is a very dangerous country to be illegal in from Central America or South America or anywhere, unless you come from very rich countries with a lot of money. Then you can pay your way into Mexico because you just pay mordidas here and you have a very wonderful life. It always comes back to you because we assimilate you. You become a Mexican, and now all of a sudden you become an individual from one of the most human rights violating countries in the world. I feel proud of being Mexican, but I don't feel good about the fact that we have such bad reputation all over the planet just because our government officials are a piece of garbage. So we need to work in several fronts here. Donald Trump, for whom I would have voted if I was a U.S. citizen, and I was the one always in danger here around my family because I told him he's going to be elected. This guy's going to be elected. He's going to be the president. He's going to be reelected. And then Ivanka Trump hopefully will be the first Mexican. Ivanka Trump hopefully will be the first American woman to be president of the United States, the most wonderful land in the entire face of the earth. Whether some people like it or not. That's a wonderful place. Freedom is true in the U.S. So you have to live within certain reasonable boundaries in order to respect the other citizens and not incur into situations in which you violate their freedom or their rights. That is reasonable. We're supposed to do that here in Mexico, and we don't do it. And then after Ivanka, whom will be reelected, we're going to have young, what is his name? Brandon? I think it's Brandon, Donald Trump's son. And I don't have a problem with all that Trump name for the next 16 years. Why? Because the arrival of Donald Trump to the U.S. presidency has made Mexico a little bit of a better country for the needy. For the people who have less in Mexico, Donald Trump has been a very healthy choice that the American people made because he's successfully fixing a lot of problems and revealing a lot of problems that we in Mexico have. Never before have Mexicans been more aware of a piece of garbage that our government officials are. So the swamp is being drained, that's for sure. And we like that. Well, some of us like it. I know for a fact that he didn't insult Mexicans because I speak English, as you can see. But the other Mexicans, like, the news media, fake media, they keep having wonderful sales of magazines whenever they They instill hate in Mexicans' hearts by saying that he insulted us. He doesn't discriminate. He didn't insult us. I know that for a fact. I've never heard him say even the N-word ever. I don't think he would use it. I heard more Mexicans use the N-word, and also the Mexican women, for the past decade or so, have been more insulting to Mexican men, always calling us rapists, women beaters, and whatnot, violent individuals. So why do we complain about Donald Trump when we have our own women and our own people here insulting us and calling us rapists? I have no idea why you would call somebody something and then, call your own kind the same thing and feel offended just because somebody else is saying it and helping to actually reveal the truth that we are not such things. But there are a number of people that actually incur in those illicit behaviors, and there you have it. Okay? So I am so sorry in the name of Mexico for our own corruption. I am so sorry. I tell the American people, I am so sorry for those basically in the name of those Mexican women and men who don't agree with allowing illegal individuals to cross through our countries. Even though some of us have lived in the U.S. illegally, okay, these are other times. This is not to attack the messenger or anything. Don't kill the messenger, right? But this is the present time. At the present time, for Mexico, the success of the United States should represent a success for Mexico and the rest of the world as well. But just because Donald Trump is not perfect, just because people hate him, just because people don't agree with his positive and wonderful thinking, just because the guy is not lazy and other people are, it doesn't mean that he's wrong. This guy is doing a wonderful job for the U.S. And I hope, by all means, and by God, that this continues, that his success continues. I feel embarrassed for the fact that many Latinos and Latinas are involved in insults and all these derangement behaviors. Gosh, I used to like Whoopi Goldberg. I thought she was great. I thought she was funny and all that stuff, but she's just toxic. She's completely a Trump deranged individual. And I don't want to get into all this stuff, but I'm not afraid of it either. These people are crazy, are like Trump says, loco, el pollo loco. What's going on with them? What happened? What happened to the U.S. or to some individuals since I haven't been there? For Latinos, for Hispanics, what happened to them? What's wrong with you? Embrace the changes. Now you have the best unemployment numbers ever. All I can say is just try to get out of that stuff, because I would have been a great candidate to be deranged against reasoning. But you know what? I have God in my heart. That's the first thing that you need to have. And I'm not saying that many of you don't have them. But there's so much hate instilled by the media, by the fake news against Donald Trump, that is instilled in your hearts against Donald Trump, that you made God pop out of your heart in order to hate the human being that is actually working very hard for you. Latinos y Latinas, ¿por qué están haciendo eso? You have to remember one thing. Alejandra Ocasio-Cortez, está loco. Ella es de Puerto Rico. She's from Puerto Rico. It has nothing to do with your needs, with your approach, with you living in the U.S. She has her safety. She will never be deported from the U.S. because she's a U.S. citizen by being born in Puerto Rico. Look, it is beyond me. Why would any Latinos or Latinas support the approach of this Ocasio-Cortez girl? She's completely off base. Her numbers are wrong. her aspirations to live off the government are off because that is our money, which I don't have a lot of. It would be so nice, but it doesn't exist. It's not going to happen ever, ever at all. You will never leave off of the government resources because the government resources are the citizens' resources, the taxes. And we don't need more taxes. We need to fight off taxes. She's asking for people to pay more taxes. Well, I have news for you. If she would study a little bit of economy, check out why Mark Zuckerberg donated 99% of his wealth, okay, of his assets of Facebook, right, the shares, to charity. Why he gave all that to charity? Now he can live off that money without worrying so much. He donated to charity, right? It's very smart. Now, why is Carlos Slim doing the same thing? Ted Turner was the first one to donate in the history of the U.S. $1 billion. Awesome. Now he doesn't have to pay taxes for so many years. Now these individuals, they can operate very, very easily with peace of mind because donations are tax breaks, not tax breaks, are tax deductions. So you give $1, you get $1 deducted from, or so. It depends on your tax bracket, okay, on your income declaration every year, and it's wonderful. Just have a nice life. I have no problem with that. So, Locasio Cortez, I have a message for you. Okay, you're benefiting the rich. The more you try to tax, the more benefit you're giving them, and why not? Okay, go ahead, do that. It's just, you have to study a little bit of economics, and don't fake that you don't know anything about it. Oh, no, I don't know anything about foreign policies and all that stuff. I mean, come on, you know. Todo lo que vas a hacer es contagiar de tu ignorancia al resto de la población. You are from Puerto Rico, okay? You have nothing to do with Mexicans, Central Americans, South Americans that live illegally in the U.S. You're not going to make it. Evil people never win. Evil people never win. The Lord is the one that created all this. And you can't go against the Lord. You cannot go against people who have the Lord in their hearts. Period. Así que, all those individuals, a todos mis amigos, connacionales, latinos, hispanos, hispanas y latinas de Estados Unidos, mejor jueguen con el equipo ganador. Declárense republicanos. Ustedes que ya son ciudadanos y ciudadanas americanas, por favor, o sea, olvídense de las broncas. Vivan con tranquilidad y métanse al equipo ganador. Es todo lo que tienen que pensar. Déjense llevar, salgan de la pesadilla de despertar todos los días con odio en su corazón. Que entre de nueva cuenta Dios. Déjenlo entrar, que está tocando siempre Jesucristo en sus corazones. Always Jesus is knocking on your hearts. To all of those who understand English, because you have to worry about learning English when you live in the States. And stop waving the Mexican flag in the U.S. You know what would happen? If you, Mexicano or Mexicana, if you come to Mexico, okay, and you wave an American flag in Mexico, oh my God, I hope you don't get shot. But somebody's going to beat you up. So think about it. You're waving a Mexican flag in the U.S. does not speak well about you, does not say any good things about you. Think about it. Cuando tú ondeas una bandera mexicana en los Estados Unidos and nobody kicks your ass, it speaks very well about the American people because they're going to try to address that in a very civilized manner. But if you, un mexicano ciudadano o mexicana ciudadana de Estados Unidos, suddenly vienes con tu blonde hair, if you come here to Mexico and, you come blue eyes and suddenly, whoa, what happened to your skin color? Now you are not Michael Jackson, you're Michaelota. So then you come here to Mexico and you pull out, your American flag somewhere, you hang it on your home, somebody's going to give you a rain of bullets. They're going to dismember you, which it shouldn't. We should be civilized. We should have all the flags of the world waving here in Mexico, happily and stuff, so gay. But you know what? The reality is that you are in the US. Set your foot firmly where you are. Try to recognize the space in which you are in, or come back. If you love Mexico so much, si amas tanto a México, ¿para qué te vas? Vente de regreso, así como yo vine para acá. So then try to survive. I'm just waiting to get out again and be back and forth between many countries and Mexico, which I love. Stay out of trouble as much as I can. But this humanitarian crisis, okay, Mexican officials must do their job, and they're not doing it. So how do we fix this? Build that wall, because Mexico is going to become a better country. We're going to be able to do better trade with the US, fair trade for the both of us, and we're going to be able to then get our proper visas to cross the border to one of the best countries in the entire world. Like Mexico is a wonderful country. So, we have illegal Americans here too. We do, for a fact. And they do many cosas malas here, but also the ones that come here and remain legally, right? They do very good things. They have a happy and tranquil life. Why not? We welcome them. Not only just because of the dollars. We like that diversity, even though Mexicans at the government levels are very discriminating. And why not? Some citizens too are very discriminating against native Mexicans. We call them pueblos originales now. I don't know who came up with that name, but it doesn't sound bad. So I don't know how you can get this message to Trump. I don't fathom that he would even see it or he would even call, but my phone number is 614-216-8883. He has an ally here in Mexico, at least one out of the 130 million Mexicans that are here hating him just because of the media and government officials of fake news. Yeah, they translate. I have proof that Mexican media translate wrongfully, ill-intended, whatever Trump says, and they put the little words, the tickers there or whatever, that Donald Trump said this and said that, and that he hates Mexicans and he's discriminating. He doesn't. I know for a fact that he doesn't. I do know English in case somebody didn't notice it, and not so well maybe, but I try to do my best because I lived in the U.S. I was raised there from 4 to 9, something like that, and I learned to love that country. I learned to love the national anthem, the flag, in the same proportion that I love my own country, Mexico, which I don't consider it my own because I get my ass kicked all the time by government officials, by the authorities, by everybody. Here I'm just a human piñata. That's for sure. And when I was in California, in which I lived for more than 12 years or around 12 years, I was a human piñata, but I was a human piña colada. I was enjoying life so much responsibly, working hard, having, there was a time when I slept only 2 hours. I used to love this, that lasted only a couple of months. I had like 3 or 4 jobs and then I was going to college. And you don't last that much. Only a couple hours of sleep doesn't work very well for anybody's body, but it was fun at the time. I had my convertible, I had this, I had that. I lived a very nice life there, and I'm very grateful and thankful to the U.S. citizens because I never felt a victim of discrimination at all. Some other day I'll talk to you about Canada, which is a very discriminating country, and it's brutal. It's incredibly brutal against new migrants. God forbid going there again as a refugee. I don't know, but whatever legal means there are still left for me to live there again. And I used to live there for 3 years as a refugee, fleeing the violence here in Mexico. And they didn't believe me. And I showed all the proofs and stuff. But you know what? I didn't have millions of dinero, in order to get all my my goods from Mexico, they basically insinuated that I should sell everything in Mexico and then take it over to Canada, all my resources, and then end up with nothing. By the time they give me a kick in the butt and send me back to Mexico, which they basically did, but I still have a hold on these individuals that are defrauding humanity. Okay, because there's nothing human about Canada at all. There's nothing humanitarian about Canada towards refugees, in a very fair way for everyone, in an even manner. So in any event, we don't want this crossing, we don't want this caravan. Some of us here in Mexico are very concerned because it's going to cause a humanitarian crisis. What numbers can I give you? They mean nothing to government officials in Central or South America. Whatever threats about not sending money to those places, it doesn't matter. They don't care. You don't affect them. You affect only the citizens. And it is not your responsibility, thanks for helping, to help these economies. It is our responsibility, the citizens of these countries, to go against the criminals that steal from us in our countries. That is our job, and we're not doing it well either. Well, we're doing our best. We're trying to do our best, okay? And by focalizing your help in certain key groups or certain key individuals, it will do a better job. It will serve a better purpose and help a lot. So Canal Chihuahua subsidizes its operations with donations. I do ask kindly that you consider donating to Canal Chihuahua through CanalCHIH@gmail.com in some way, and we would appreciate very much. We need to survive. We are here within the boundaries of a very brutal situation, and we're entering in a crisis in which your U.S. troops are almost just to arrive to the southern border, and by all means, do what you want. I'm not going to be here advocating that you should, but if I was the president of the U.S., which I don't fathom such thing, but I have a lot of people online, Ivanka and Brandon. I'm going to verify that name soon enough. But he's a very smart kid, by the way, Donald Trump's kid. He's very smart, very charismatic, and I hope he will be the youngest president in the history of the U.S. And that Republicans will remain in power, because this Kavanaugh thing was just embarrassing, I think, for a lot of women. A lot of women are pissed. They're angry about this situation, and I'm very glad that some women are against this very bad thing. Always accusing of sexual misconduct to somebody just ruins an attempt to ruin lives. In any event, that's another topic. Thank you very much for listening. I hope it's not a rambling thing. I'm trying to make sense. I'm trying to be as serious as possible, as serious as a heart attack, because that's pretty much as to I can describe what's happening, close to a heart attack of what's going to happen to Mexico. And no resuscitation procedures are going to give us back our lives again. These individuals are not going back to their countries if we don't send them back ourselves. Y mi amor y mi cariño, my love and care for all those individuals who are, in these caravans. De veras, los quiero mucho. I respect you. I respect all Central Americans, all South Americans. But you know what? Let's do our best. Let's do our best to care for our own countries. En México también estamos en crisis. We are in crisis here in Mexico too. Okay? And I feel sorry. Lo siento mucho que sean agredidos y agredidas por mexicanos y mexicanas, también por su propia gente. Son agredidos y agredidas por su propia gente que reside aquí de manera ilegal en México. Entonces, llegar a los Estados Unidos va a ser solamente para que los retachen de verdad para sus países. No pierdan, hagan lo que quieran, es algo humano, su libertad de hacerlo. Sin embargo, pues no violen las leyes de nuestro país tampoco, con la intención de ir a violar las leyes de otros países. Hay muchos países a donde se pueden ir, hay muchos países que buscan trabajadores. Entonces les recomiendo que consulten un sitio de internet que se llama canadalaboral.com. Consulten ese sitio de internet, ahí les buscan trabajo en cualquier lugar del mundo. y es una agencia autorizada por el gobierno federal mexicano. Okay, entonces ahí los pueden mandar a otros lugares a donde sean recibidos con visas de trabajo y estén temporalmente, ¿verdad? Sin ningún riesgo, sin problemas, con cobertura médica, con un salario digno y prestaciones también dignas. Well, this is it for me, at least for now, but I intend to continue talking to you. Please do reach me somehow by phone or send us messages. Please like, share, comment, and right there, ring the bell so you can see our videos anytime and you can take an insight of Mexico as well. Thank you for watching and talk to you later.